I was set up in the other room.
Very good. Rachel, I'm ready when you are.
Good to go, Chair.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to the Del Norte County Board of Supervisors meeting this day, May 11th, 2021. It is 10 a.m. and it's our time for our regularly scheduled session. And let's go ahead and call the meeting to order and take roll. Kylie?
Supervisor Hemmingson,
I am here.
Supervisor Starkey,
Here.
Supervisor Short. Is Supervisor Short not attending today, Chair?
Yes, actually.
Supervisor Berkowitz. Is he not here at all, Chair?
Oh, here he is. He's coming on now. There we are. Supervisor Short is now with us, Kylie.
Thank you. And Chair Howard.
Present. Thank you. All right. Supervisor Hemmingson, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I will. Please stand. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor Hemmingson. And Neil, is there any new employees to introduce today?
No, there isn't.
All right, thank you. All right, Joel, anything to report out of closed session?
No, there isn't.
Okay, thank you. Then at this time, I'd like to request any deletions, corrections, or additions from the board members to the agenda. Do we have any additions, deletions? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and then move on to brief reports. So Supervisor Starkey.
And it actually is very brief today. For some reason, I did not have a ton going on. I attended a first 5 special meeting, and then we attended another meeting where we conducted interviews for the first 5 executive director. We had some very qualified applicants, and we were able to select a new executive director to fill the vacancy brought on by Angela Glor's departure. I attended multiple 4th of July planning sessions. We did select the Grand Marshal and the theme. The Grand Marshal will be announced in a press release later today or tomorrow. And the theme for this year is Go for the Gold, Red, White, and Blue. So I hope everybody has a lot of fun with that. I attended the City Council meeting virtually. I attended the Redwood Coast Transportation Authority. This is one of Supervisor Berkowitz's committees that I'm the alternate on, that I'm going to have to wrestle him if he wants to take it away from me, because I'm really enjoying it. In our meeting, we did discuss the electric bus project and how they hope to roll this out. In 2018, the California Resources Board enacted an innovative clean transit rule, which mandates the purchase of zero-emission buses by all transit agencies by 2029. So RCTA is now starting to figure out ways to roll this out, and they're looking at a pilot program for that. I toured the Del Norte County Jail. A special thank you to Correctional Lieutenant Kyle Stevens for taking the time to show me the jail and its needs, as well as its successes. There are several. I attended the Harbor District meeting. I briefly attended the Nurses Appreciation Lunch, and I'm happy to see there's a proclamation on the agenda today that truly encapsulates the work that they've done over this past year with the COVID pandemic. And finally, I attended a 2x2 for the city and the county, and we discussed some funding options possibly for the Fred Ender Pool, as well as the needs of our current dispatch services at the Sheriff's Department and how the city can help out with that.
Thank you, Supervisor Starkey. Supervisor Short.
Thank you, Chair. I also had a pretty light load, as Supervisor Starkey mentioned. I attended the RCTA meeting with her, and also in addition to the updates she had, there are 2 new buses that we approved funding for to be purchased. So we'll see 2 new buses. They won't be the zero emission style, but we will see a couple of more buses on our routes. a couple of new buses, not more buses, excuse me. And I did also attend the city council meeting virtually. And lastly, I just wanted to thank Supervisor Hemmingson for forwarding the RCRC Board of Directors meeting highlights and keeping us updated on issues that are very important to us, forest management legislation, again, the Board of Forestry fire safe regulations that we're so closely monitoring, and the Air Resources Board and their clean fleet vehicle initiative, as it relates to the trucking industry and how we are going to navigate that. So thank you, Supervisor Hemmingson, and that is all for me, Chair.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Hemmingson. Jerry, you're on mute still, please.
Yep,
Thank you.
sorry about that. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Darren, thanks. That's available. And I probably should have been passing that out after every meeting. We do go through a lot of stuff. It's really hard to specifically go through everything we do because the meetings generally last 5 to 6 hours. So if I was to take the time to go over every little thing, it would take a lot of time. But anyway, I will continue to try to remember to send those updates out after every meeting. And I did attend that RCRC meeting. We had a couple of whale working group meetings having to do with the risk assessment. As crab season is certainly winding down or has wound down, I guess. There's not much assessment to go on, but we continue to have these meetings as required. I had a virtual meeting with Senator McGuire, went over a number of issues, from CalPERS to Coastal Commission to bills that are going to affect the county positively and negatively. Went over a lot of that stuff. Anyway, it was a good meeting. It's never long enough. He never has enough time. He is the Energizer Bunny, and he is continually moving from one meeting to the next. I don't know how he gets it all done, but we certainly appreciate what he does for us. Had a North Coast Fishing Cable Committee meeting, which I'm on the board of directors. Has to do with a cable that is a data cable that's coming into Humboldt Bay. They're starting off with one and soon to be two, I think. And hopefully that is successful. Continue watching that. Had a Golden State Natural Resources meeting, which is part of RCRC. I attended a little retirement get together for Jay Serena out at the golf course. That was very nice and well attended. As Supervisor Starkey said or mentioned, Nurses Appreciation Week luncheon, and I was there just about the time she was leaving. She kind of ate and ran, very quickly. So anyway, I know she had another engagement, so she had to get on to. But Chair Howard and I got the pleasure of meeting the nurses that were there. Very appreciative of their work and what they've done. They work very hard and they're very good at what they do. And they've certainly been a huge asset to the county of Del Norte, and we certainly do appreciate them. And other than spending Mother's Day with family and friends, that's it for me.
Thank you, Supervisor Hemmingson. Similarly, very short agendas this week for many things, but the constituent context picked up quite a bit, especially as it relates to our state highways. had some observations take place on Highway 199 where a redwood tree had fell and left a dip in the road. Caltrans reacted to that promptly and put up signage where that dip is and is creating a plan right now to hopefully fix some of the indentation that was left in the highway that also left a family of 5 without their parents. Sad, but true, but we're working, Caltrans is working very quickly to get that corrected. Also, a second spot in the highway between Gasky and Haiichi was brought up on Highway 199. We communicated that to Caltrans, but an area of constant standing water where a spring or something is coming up through the highway and creating puddling in an area where it's problematic for motorcycle riders. In addition, working on Highway 101, a lot of concerns with proposals which came out. I know we discussed this during some of our conversations with board reports at our last meeting, but the 2 options that have been narrowed down to, one a tunnel and one staying in the current alignment. Folks feel like not everything was completely flushed out, and I'm not sure we all disagree with that. But at this point, we're trying to find the best ways to move forward. I did have a conversation with representatives from Friends of Del Norte and made them promise to go help us find the money now that we've narrowed it down to these 2 alternatives, which only one really appears to be a viable route, which is a tunnel at an estimated cost of $1.6, $1.7 billion. And just to clarify some comments that were made by the Lost Coast Outpost, the shop budget for the state where this money would normally come from is a $5 billion budget. So it does reflect well over a third of that budget for shop where that money would come from normally to put these type of fixes in. So it's going to have to come from other outside funding sources, and hopefully we'll find a way to get there with help from not only our state, but also our federal representatives. Had a meeting with the county city 2x2. We haven't had a discussion there in a long time. Attended that with Supervisor Starkey yesterday. 2 topics that we discussed in detail were, one, helping to fund the pool. The city has tried to approach this in the past and received fairly cold response from the county. They had hoped to revisit that issue with us with maybe some new makeup on the board. And in addition, the situation with dispatch. The city has been looking potentially outside for dispatch, not to be served by the sheriff's office. So that was communicated to us very clearly yesterday. And if there's a way that they could get a lot cheaper cost for that dispatch, and I certainly would encourage them to take a look at that very hard if it's going to save the city dollars overall. So those were the 2 items that we discussed at length. Also attended a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce. Their discussion was more specifically about funding, long-term funding, and the realization that more specifically the county has had with the return on investment with TOT dollars. They're seeing dramatic increases in TOT, and in particular with early estimates this year, probably close to a 3-fold increase from when the VB really started marketing our community well over 10 years ago now. So that's good news. I know we're a tourism community. I know that we support a lot of tourism type activities, but it's good to see that those investments of public dollars have paid off and returned quite a bit into those general funds through our TOT tax, which is basically a tax paid by people sleeping in our hotels or our vacation rentals. In addition, had some constituent calls as it relates to trees on Kings Valley Road. And as Supervisor Hemmingson mentioned, attended a retirement party for Jay Serena. That was very well attended and very well deserved. And then I'll close with the luncheon that both Supervisor Starkey and Jerry Hemmingson showed up to. It was a great honor to help give appreciation to oftentimes staff, in particular nurses, that play such a vital role in our public health division of the county. Our nurses really stood out this last year and a half taking a step forward when there's a lot of fear that they could catch a virus that could potentially not only harm them, but harm members of their family. And yet they took that challenge on, knowing that that was out there. And whenever we could give that kind of appreciation from this board or from any other place, we need to do it. And we did. I don't think we stated enough how important these type of public positions that serve our community members, especially in regards to public health, benefit us. But in this case, it benefits our community a great deal. And this is definitely one of those services we provide. And I really want to recognize those nurses that received those appreciation awards, which both Supervisor Starkey and Supervisor Hemmingson mentioned. And that was Carrie Venturi, Jamie Gormley, Colleen Machado, Shelley Bodenstab, Melody Cannon Cutts, Elizabeth Hassman, and Rose Hepburn. Thank you all for your incredible service to this county and this community. And we look forward to long and successful careers here in our community, and your willingness to continue to serve. It's great and does not go unappreciated. Thank you again. And with that, I'll go ahead and end my report. And
Supervisor Howard,
oh, please, Supervisor Starkey.
I do want to make one more announcement because I just got an email that the press release is going to go out, but I would like to just announce here that our grand marshals for the parade this year are our public health nurses and the volunteers who helped put those vaccination clinics on, and they're continuously there. They're always there. So just one more way for our community to show our appreciation to the public health nurses. You stepped in at a time that we needed you. You were there for us. And we hope that you will accept this honor. I know you've already accepted the honor, but that you represent our community with pride, and we appreciate you.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
if I could, thank you, Valerie. That was well said. And I hate to end our report outs with a sad note, but I would like to note the passing of Jeff Mitchell, who is a former county employee, a good friend of mine since high school. Known him for 50 plus years, dealing with a medical issue for a while now, and finally passed away. But just like to make that note.
Thank you for sharing that, Jerry. Great member of District 3, great golfer. He will be missed. All right. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and move on with our consent agenda items 1 through 10. Let's go ahead and open it up for public comment.
Linda, you are on.
Good morning. I want to speak about number 6. Your child, I don't remember what it is because I don't have it in front of me now, but it's the child abuse proclamation, I believe. And is that it?
That is correct, Linda.
Okay. There's no easy way to say this, but it's killing all of us. And the fact that our schools are closed is the biggest child abuse issue facing Del Norte County right now. And I was really upset to hear my 9-year-old granddaughter, who loves school, has fallen down to the end of the rope. An A student, both my grandchildren. And it's because of this damn school district shutting these schools down. And if that's not the biggest child abuse issue facing Del Norte County, I don't know what is. So when you go and do all your zoo, wham, wham, goody, goody things about child abuse, think about that. Thank you.
Chair, I'm not seeing any other online public comment, and I don't have any written.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Can I have a second?
Thank you for that second. Kylie, please poll the vote.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Supervisor Hemmingson,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. All right. We're going to go ahead and bypass our timed agenda items. We get a little time to roll into our general government. Let's go ahead and take that.
Chair. We have 3 proclamations on the consent agenda. Could we read those or are we waiting?
You want to read them?
Not preferably, but
I can
Uh,
certainly take one.
Thank you, Valerie. Why don't you kick us off with the Nurses Week, please? Number 2, Supervisor Hemmingson, if you could do mental health, or actually Supervisor Short, can you do Mental Health Awareness Week? And Supervisor Hemmingson, can you do Foster Care Appreciation, please? Valerie, go ahead and kick us off with the Nurses
I
Week.
will. Thank you, Chair. It's Proclamation of Nurses Week, May 6th through the 12th, 2021. Whereas nearly 4 million registered nurses in the United States comprise our nation's largest healthcare profession. And whereas the depth and breadth of the nursing profession has faced unprecedented times that most of us never even imagined. And whereas the nursing profession plays a critical role in improving patient outcomes, increasing access, coordinating care, and reducing healthcare costs. Whereas nurses meet the challenge of an unimaginable pandemic. We have witnessed courage, compassion, dedication, and leadership in caring for Del Norte County's community and families. Whereas the demand for registered nurses are greater than ever because of the complex health challenges of COVID-19 patients, as well as the American population, the aging of the American population, and the continued expansion of life-sustaining technology. Whereas more qualified registered nurses will be needed in the future to meet the increasingly complex issues of healthcare consumers in this community. And whereas the cost-effective, safe, and quality healthcare services provided by registered nurses will be an ever more important component of the U.S. healthcare delivery system in the future. And whereas we commend the Department of Health and Human Services, Public Health Branch nursing staff, and other local nurses for their dedication and service to our community, especially in regard to meeting the ongoing challenge of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Del Norte that May 6th through 12th is hereby proclaimed Nurses Week throughout Del Norte County, passed and adopted on this 11th day of May, 2021.
Thank you, Valerie. Kylie, do we have anybody in the office audience to receive this?
yeah, C-Tow is on.
Hi, C. Good to see you again.
Hi, everyone. Hi, board. Thank you, Supervisor Starkey. Everyone, I'm C. Towson, the Director for the Department of Health and Human Services, filling in for Heather Snow, our DHHS Director. I will formally accept the proclamation of Nurses Week. First off, thank you, board, for taking the time to recognize the dedication of our public health nurses and other local nurses in honor of Nurses Week. We have some amazing nurses, and I really appreciate them holding us all together as a community during this challenging year. I'm going to turn it over to Melody Canyon, our Public Health Program Manager, to say a few words.
Good morning, Melody. Are you with us?
Chair, I'm not seeing Melody. Oh, here we go. Melody, you're on. Looks
ahead.
like you're muted.
Mute your mic, please.
There we go. There I am now.
Thanks,
Good
Melody.
morning,
Welcome.
Board of Supervisors and those in the audience as well. And thank you, C, for the introduction. I want to thank everyone for the proclamation for Nurses Week. Actually, the nurses are online as well. They are live from the vaccination site and would like to join you this morning if that's possible.
Absolutely. I don't know how we're going to do that.
Melody, do you know which username they're under?
I believe it's coming in on Shelby's, should be Shelby Bodenstadt.
I see public health nurses, so they're
That's
on.
it. That's it.
Hello. Hello.
Morning.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi. Thank you all. we're actually down at the vaccine site today, giving shots. And we really appreciate this this proclamation, you guys. Thank you so much. This year has been a little crazy, and at a time when nurses have been needed, now more than ever, we have seen nurses in our community take this challenge of COVID-19 and really meet the need. This proclamation, Nurse Week, not only for nurses here in public health, but for each and every nurse here in Del Norte County that has been fighting this fight for the past year. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Shelby. You've been doing a great job.
Thank you. I couldn't Thank do it without
you.
this amazing team of nurses here.
Thanks to all of you.
Yep, you guys are doing
Thank you
wonderful.
guys.
Thank
Our
you.
sincere pleasure.
Melody, would you like to close it up, or is that,
Well, I just wanted to share that the theme for Nurses Week 2021 is Frontline Warriors. And I think that really applies in this case to our team.
no question. Thanks for those words, Melody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and move on with the mental health awareness proclamation. Supervisor Short, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is a proclamation of Mental Health Awareness Month, May 2021. Whereas optimal mental health care is essential to the overall health of Del Norte County, resulting in productive activities, fulfilling relationships, and the ability to adapt to change and cope with adversity, especially during these unprecedented times of COVID-19. And whereas an estimated 20.6% of US adults experienced mental illness in 2019, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and our local behavioral health board and partnering agencies emphasize the importance of promoting mental health and the early identification of mental illness. Last year, Del Norte County Department of Health and Human Services Behavioral Health Branch served just over 1,400 unique clients. And whereas mental health problems do not discriminate, they affect people regardless of race, creed, age, lifestyle, or economic status. And mental health recovery is possible with proper treatment and support, empowering mental health consumers to lead full and productive lives. And whereas as many as 8 million Americans who have serious mental illnesses do not receive adequate treatment each year, and people who have untreated mental health issues use more general health services than those who receive mental health services when they need them. And whereas over 40,000 people in the United States die from suicide annually, suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34 in the US. And the County of Del Norte has made a commitment to mental health care in which all residents can receive high quality and consumer-centered services, and take pride in its history of upholding the dignity and civil rights of all of its people, including those coping with mental illness. And whereas mental illness should not be shrouded in stigma and discrimination, causing those who are affected to not seek care. The County of Del Norte observes Mental Health Month every May to raise awareness and understanding of mental health, to increase access to mental health services by shining a light on it and offering hope to those in need. And whereas we commend the Department of Health and Human Services Behavioral Health Branch and all the community partner organizations, whether private, faith-based, or governmental, and individuals for their outstanding work improving the quality of life for mentally disabled individuals in our community. And whereas Behavioral Health Branch recognizes additional challenges are met when dealing with mental illness during a pandemic such as COVID-19. As essential workers, we are responding to community needs, providing services to those affected. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Del Norte that May 2021 is hereby proclaimed as Mental Health Awareness Month throughout Del Norte County, and calls upon its citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit to our community to increase awareness and understanding of mental illness and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses. Passed and adopted this 11th day of May, 2021.
Thank you, Darren. Kylie, do we have anybody receiving this proclamation at this time?
I believe the Assistant Director CTAL will be accepting this one as well.
Hi, C, you're on.
Hello again. I will formally accept the proclamation of Mental Health Awareness Month. Every May, we bring forward this proclamation, and we will continue to, because it is so important to raise awareness of mental health. We have Gloria Boberts from Behavioral Health, who is here with us today, and she'd like to share a couple of client statements with you all.
Please, absolutely. Good morning, Gloria. Just unmute your mic, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So as in the past, we've had clients come down and speak at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and we can't have this year because of COVID. So I asked a few of them what they would like to say, and I'll just share a few of them, statements that seem to make an impact with us here. Spending a month aware that I have a mental health condition is practice for the next 11 months, hoping next year will be better. Mental health, sorry about that. Mental health to me means being more attentive to your friends and peers, making sure they are okay and giving support. It is a good month for everyone that has a mental health diagnosis, and it helps bring understanding more about mental illness. Breaking the stigma about mental health is very important to help and support more people get the help they need. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. It is something we definitely absolutely need to pay a great deal of attention to in our community, especially as we begin to roll out of a year of essentially shutdowns here, not only in our community, but throughout the state of California and the nation. I know there's been an increase in mental illness in our community, especially among our youth. And your job's going to be more important than ever to identify those individuals and help them get back to a successful place. So thank you for all that you do for our community.
Thank you.
Supervisor Hemmingson, would you please read the next proclamation on Foster Care Appreciation Month?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is proclaiming Resource Family Appreciation during National Foster Care Month, May 2021. Whereas the family serves as the primary source of love, identity, self-esteem, and support, and is the very foundation of our communities and our county. And whereas in Del Norte County, there are 88 children and youth in resource family care who deserve the best opportunities that can be provided, as well as a safe, secure, and stable home, possessing the compassion and nurture of a resource family. And whereas all children and youth in foster care need a positive, meaningful connection to a caring adult who becomes a supportive and lasting presence in their lives. And whereas dedicated resource families help fulfill a vital role by providing guidance, stability, and love, which helps children and families heal and reconnect, resulting in the launch of a young people into successful adulthood. And whereas dedicated resource families frequently adopt foster children, resulting in a continuous greater need for more foster families. And whereas there are countless individuals, public and private organizations, and often unsung heroes who work to increase public awareness of the needs of children and in leaving foster care. And whereas as the enduring and valuable contribution of resource families, kinship, and adoptive homes, the foster care system is only as good as those who choose to be a part of it. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Del Norte County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaim Resource Parent Appreciation during Foster Care Month in Del Norte County and urge all citizens to join us in helping to change a lifetime of a child or youth in foster care by volunteering their talents and energies on behalf of children in foster care, resource families, child welfare, and all other committed professional staff working with them this month and throughout the year. Passed and adopted by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Del Norte, State of California, this 11th day of May, 2021.
Thank you, Supervisor Hemmingson. Kylie, is there anybody in the audience to receive this proclamation?
I believe it will be C. Tao again.
Hi, C.
Hello again. I believe this is our last one. And I believe we actually have a resource family here that will be accepting this proclamation. And that is Dan McCorkle.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for this. I just want to thank Health and Human Services and the board for this proclamation today. We appreciate this proclamation and want to acknowledge that this is for all the resource families out there. Some that we have met have been doing this for many years, helping out so many children. We're just very impressed with the whole program. We also want to thank, we know there's a lot of other organizations out there. We've dealt with CASA, the school district. They provide tons of support for resource families, and there's lots of other agencies out there that provide support. I thank all of them. Fostering has truly changed our lives, and we've seen how much of a difference it makes in the life of a child. We encourage anyone out there who is interested in fostering to contact Health and Human Services and go through the process to stay involved or help with any of these organizations that assist, volunteer. It's really a good thing to do. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Dan. Really appreciate it. All right, then we'll go ahead and move on with our timed agenda item, which is public comment period. Members of the public may address the board on matters which are within the board's jurisdiction. If you are addressing the board regarding a matter listed on the agenda, you may be asked to hold your comments until the board takes up that matter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Kylie?
Yes, give me one moment. Linda, you are on.
Good morning. I listened very carefully to your report out, Chair Howard, and the city wanting to receive money for the swimming pool from the sales tax. You know, the pool is using $1.8 million in 5 years from the Measure S fund money, more than law enforcement, more than roads, and more than fire. And I find this unconscionable that they even would come to the county and ask for money, because our priorities aren't set right. You know, I understand there's, you know, people that want the pool. There were 68 annual passes sold in 2019, just to let you know. And they're already spending $500,000 a year just to have the pool open. And so let's use some common sense on how these Measure S&R is utilized, because I would think that the fire department and the police department is a little bit more important, including the roads, than a damn swimming pool. Now, sadly, I'd like to say that I've noticed the 5th district supervisor has not been able to speak. And there's a reason for that. I understand that he's gone under some medical issues, but we have no representation for the 5th district. And I do not believe he's fit for duty. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but we need you guys are the ones carrying the brunt. And we need another supervisor to replace them. Thank you.
Kylie, further public comment?
Chair, I'm not seeing any at this time.
Thank you, Kylie. And just to clarify, the use of Measure R for the pool was not one thing I reported out on. So just to clarify for the public, that wasn't a Measure R consideration, not for the county, not for our Measure R measure, nor did I report out on it. So just to make sure that's clear. All right, I appreciate everybody's time on public comment. We'll go ahead and move forward with our 10:30 timed item, which is approve and adopt a resolution for the approval of a general plan amendment to amend section in the noise and safety element of the Del Norte County General Plan to incorporate periodic updates to the county local hazard mitigation plan as requested by the Director of Community Development. Good morning, Heidi. Thanks for
Good
joining.
morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. What we have today is a simple amendment to the safety element of our general plan, and it is essentially to update language that was previously adopted back in 2011 in order to incorporate the county's local hazard mitigation plan into the county's safety element of its general plan. What we realized is that we adopted that specific plan, which was a 2011 multi-hazard jurisdiction plan, into our safety element. And now that we have an updated multi-hazard jurisdiction plan, and we will continue periodically to have updated, it requires us to have language in our element that doesn't refer to a specific document, but just to the document generally, so we won't have to return at a future date. The importance of having this language in our safety element is that it allows the county to pursue a greater share of disaster assistance funds when we have emergencies. Without a similar statement in our housing element, or excuse me, our safety element, we would be limited to 75%. So this is very important to us, and I hope that you support the amendment today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve and adopt this resolution for the approval of the general plan amendment.
And I will second that.
Thank you for that motion. Second, Kylie, can you please open it up for public comment?
Yes, Chair. I am not seeing any at the moment. Sorry about that.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
All right, that was pretty lively. All right, so if I understood you correctly, there is no public comment that you see?
Correct.
Okay, you'll have to fix whatever that is. All right, we'll go ahead and circle back around for, unless there's any further questions for Heidi, we'll go ahead and circle back to a poll vote. Kylie, please.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Hemmingson,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. All right, let's go ahead and move on with our 10:40 timed item, which is an update from Dr. Raywald with the COVID-19. Doctor, are you with us today?
Hello, can you hear me?
We sure can. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you. I'm calling in today. I will keep it fairly brief. There are some items of interest, I'm sure, and some news, most of which I think you probably have heard about. We did get some Pfizer vaccine at Public Health this last week, and we have it in the freezer. We're really happy about that. I believe we're offering some Pfizer vaccine today at our clinic at the fairground. And we're going to offer it also to 16 through 18-year-olds. The other news, of course, is that yesterday the FDA made a determination to approve an emergency use for 12 through 15-year-olds, so that broadens the age range for Pfizer. We're not quite ready in Del Norte to make that jump. I mean, in theory, if someone absolutely had to have it and really wanted it today, it probably could be done, but we're kind of waiting for some direction from the state. But that's all good news because it will allow some other people who might be interested in getting vaccinated, especially the families of those younger folks, to get the vaccine now. So that's good progress for us. We've reached about 55% of our seniors vaccinated. Overall, the data we get from the state is about a third of our adult population has been vaccinated so far. And we're hopeful that we can get more. Obviously, we'd like to encourage more participation in getting vaccines. You know, we think that the biggest news that really people should think about in making this decision is the fact that we now have some variants in our county. They've been identified, not a lot yet, but we've had the California variant for some time that we've known about. We now have the B117, and we think we're going to get more. And the thing about the variants is because of the way the mutations have occurred, it makes it easier for that version of the virus to actually stick onto the surface of a cell and then invade the cell. So it's more infectious. That's probably the main reason it's more infectious. But also for that same reason, it's more aggressive. It's a little bit easier for it to spread throughout a person's body. And the reports that we're seeing from other places where the virus variants have been more active is that more often than before, we're seeing cases of severe illness in younger people. So more trending downward into middle age or even younger. More people landing in the hospital that we would not normally have expected to see with the natural version of the virus. So that may continue as variants emerge. It's not a good trend, but it's all the more reason to consider getting vaccinated. And we still want to really encourage people to do that. The last bit of news is that this week we've finally been able to go public with the North Coast Testing Partnership, which is a local PCR testing service for COVID. It's been running for quite a few months, kind of in the background, offering services to some unique areas in the community, some extra services to our tribal organizations and to some of our community organizations that need regular testing. And now we have more of a public face to it. It is alongside and in addition to OptumServe. They are not the same, and they are not registered for in the same way. The method is online and it's similar, but you can't register for one and then show up at the other one and expect to get a test. So it's extra service to continue testing in the county. We're glad that it's finally up and running. It's fairly limited at the moment, but between the two services and all the other services we have for testing, we have pretty complete testing throughout the county. And one last thing, we still are testing pretty high frequency in our county. We also have a fairly high case rate again this week. Last week we had been down quite a bit. It was a good trend, but we had a jump in our numbers. Mostly we see, again, it's family contacts between families and friends. And that's a hard thing to get around, because if people are going to just get the virus in their family and it gets going, it's hard to put it back in the bottle, so to speak. But that's the trend. I don't think it's going to shift us in the tiers. I think we're going to stay where we are. I was hoping we'd be building up some credit towards moving up the tiers, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. But I also don't think we're going to shift. So that's good news. It's not great news, but it's relatively good news. And then that's about all I had for today. I just wanted to say that, our nurses are being recognized this week, and I believe that is either on the agenda or has been already discussed on the agenda of the board. And I want to make sure that everyone recognizes the fact that in addition to our excellent public health nursing staff, we have a wonderful group of nursing volunteers who've been helping us, especially with vaccination, for the last several months. And I really want to make sure that everyone recognizes the efforts that they put in. We've had nurses from all places in our county, from emergency services and hospital care and clinical care, and they've come and helped us when we needed them the most, and it's been wonderful to see. So I just want to make sure you were aware of that, and that everyone listening was aware of it as well. We owe them a legion of thanks for everything that they've been doing.
Completely agreed, Dr. Raywald. Thanks for bringing that up and making sure that they were also recognized. Kylie, let's go ahead and open it up. I see a hand up from Supervisor Starkey.
Oh, you can open up for public comment if you would rather
No,
do that. Okay.
Supervisor Starkey,
So
please.
Dr. Raywell, thank you. It was so nice seeing you the other day. I have just, you answered my questions about the Pfizer vaccine and for the 12 to 15-year-olds. I'm hoping that we can get that approved by the state or the CDC or whatever you feel most comfortable with sooner rather than later. That has been the most concern from people contacting me, is that they want their that age range to get vaccinated. So I appreciate that update on that. My only other question is, I don't mean to put you on the spot, I should have probably alerted you, but we're currently in red. The state has this idea that we're going to completely open up on June 15th to green or whatever color we're going to call it. Is there any way that we can, as a community, start advocating for a transitional thing? And I know our numbers don't warrant it, but I really would like to see us in the next few weeks transition from orange to yellow down to, so when June 15th hits, we've had some sort of transition period. Is there any discussion about that?
Well, there is in a roundabout way. One of the things that we haven't talked about much because we didn't think it was within reach is the fact that the state has tried to incentivize getting vaccinations done in communities by linking one of the parameters for moving in tiers to vaccination rates. So if you're within 5% of the state average, that it counts in your favor. And we haven't been close to that. So it hasn't really been an issue for us. But of all the things I can think of off the top of my head, that would be the best thing, is if we could really encourage vaccination to the point where our numbers fell in that range of the state average. That would enable us to do more and to make a good case for, as you put it, a transition plan. We don't really know how this looks come June 15th. I think the hope was at the state level is that there'd be sufficient vaccination statewide that it would become a moot point to have tiers in place, that the protection was built into the fact that enough people have been vaccinated. Probably is going to happen in some counties. It may not happen in all counties, but we don't know if there's going to be any distinction made. I'm hopeful that they won't, but we have to wait and see. And I guess the best way to advocate for it would be to contact our state representatives and express our concerns and see what they understand about the process. We haven't been told anything from state health differently other than that on June 15th, if everything looks good statewide, the tier system goes away. And there will be some recommendations about social distancing and masks that would continue, but a lot of the things that we've been living with are supposed to disappear. And we've been told that it doesn't really matter what period you're in at the time. So hopefully they'll be able to hold to that. Again, a lot of that depends on what's going on. The biggest concern would be is a variant that impacts us in a way that is unforeseen. And one of the big concerns that people talk about is one of the variants, one of these mutated versions of the virus that the vaccines don't protect against. So far, we haven't seen that, but we're saying so far whenever we bring that up because it could change and we just don't know. So those are the two things I could think of. Really encourage vaccination to get us in that 5% window next to the state average, and see if our state representatives can to make a case on our behalf. Something along those lines might be very useful at this point. We've got some time yet.
All right, thank you.
Kylie, can you please open it up for public comment?
Yes. Chair, I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
All right. Are there any other questions from the board? I do have one just very quickly, Dr. Raywald. Between the number of individuals in the county based on our total population and the number of vaccinated, what's that bring if we're looking at it from a herd immunity standpoint of people infected and people vaccinated? What would be that total number if we're a population around 27 to 28,000 individuals?
That one's hard to figure out. We have some regional data about what's called seropositivity. In other words, they're looking at antibodies in the blood and they're finding them. And, there is a way to distinguish between antibodies from the natural virus and from the vaccine. But when they're doing these kinds of surveillance testing, they're usually not looking at that data hard. What they do is they kind of lump it together and they say, well, this percentage is at least recovered or been vaccinated. And right now in our region, it's between about 45 and 55%. Ideally, we'd be over 70 to 75 to 80%, somewhere in that range, before we could start seeing the effect of it. And we'll know. I mean, the transmission rate will drop. Right now, we know we've confirmed about 5% of our population as having had the virus just by doing our case numbers that we've been doing since the beginning. That's actually fairly good. It's a little bit better than most of the counties around us. But we also know that that doesn't represent all the infections. There are an unknown number of infections in the county that have occurred alongside of those that were never identified.
Yep.
So, the basic take home is it's kind of an unknown and it's really hard to know. The best thing is to just, if you're sitting on the fence and you think you might want to get a vaccine, don't wait. There's no advantage to waiting because the versions of the virus that are in our future are going to be more potent than the ones we have now. And getting vaccinated is, as far as we know, is still the best protection because you don't run the risk of the disease, and the risk of the disease for some people is pretty significant yet. So the best way to reach that point, whether we know we're there or not, is to get as many people vaccinated as we can.
Thank you for opining on that, Dr. Raywald. We appreciate your time
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you all. Talk to you later.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Great. I see that Supervisor Berkowitz has joined us. Thank you, Supervisor, for coming on board today. Must have heard your ears ringing. But thanks for joining us. We're going to go ahead and move on to our general government items now. And item number 14, which is authorize the Director of Community Development Department to submit a Federal Lands Access Program application for the improvement of the Klamath Beach Road upon confirmation that the Yurok Tribe's Tribal Transportation Program will fund approximately $275,000 in other match if toll credits are available as the match. And number 2 of that, commit the county road fund to fund up to $150,000 in other match if toll credits are unavailable as match. And authorize the Director of the Community Development Department to enter into a reimbursable agreement to not exceed $10,000 for the completion of the project scoping by Central Federal Lands to develop the accurate scope, schedule, and budget if the project is selected for the project scoping, as requested by the Assistant County Engineer. Rosanna, are you with us today?
I am here. So it's a lot of words and pieces, but
yeah, we appreciate that, especially me.
Essentially what it is that we applied for the Klamath Beach Road project, which was fixing culverts as well as resurfacing the road a few years back. We were successful at just shy of $5 million for replacing the culverts, but the surfacing was tossed out because it wasn't necessary to maintain access to the forest, and funds were, or in this case, the park, because funds were limited. So we communicated with the Yurok Tribe about this round of funding, and we're limited in staff and resources right now, and the Yurok Tribe offered to take on the grant application and used our prior application as background information. So we've been working together, and the goal is to submit an application for the road surfacing that would be consistent with the priorities of the Regional Transportation Plan, the Yurok Tribe, as well as the County Road Fund. Are there questions?
Well, comment. I appreciate you highlighting the capacity issues as you see it, at least in engineering, and our ability to chase down these funds. I know it's a growing concern amongst the board, but I do appreciate your ability to get out there and begin to leverage partnerships like with the Yurok Tribe to try to access these important funds. With 80% of our ground as public land, and especially land that is federal, these funds become more and more important to maintain our roads. So it's important, really important to what we do here to keep access to those lands for a large percentage of not only our tourism community, but also for the day-to-day access of folks like from the Yurok tribe. So really appreciate that effort on your behalf.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board at this time? Okay, Kylie, can you please open it up for public comment?
Chair, I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Excellent. All right, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board. Is anybody willing to offer a motion?
Sure, Chair, I move we authorize the Director of Community Development, the Community Development Department to submit a federal lands access program application for improvements to the Klamath Beach Road to fund approximately $275,000. Also commit the county road fund to fund up to $150,000 in other match if toll credits are unavailable. And also to authorize the Director of Community Development Department to enter into a reimbursable agreement not to exceed $10,000 for the completion of project scoping.
I'll second.
You have a motion and second on the table. Kylie, can you please poll the vote?
Chair, I just want to make note, Supervisor Berkowitz is on. It doesn't look like he has a mic. I don't know if he's able to do video. Maybe when I pull the vote, he can put his thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't know if he could just direct chat me to let me know yes or no. I'm not sure how you guys wanted me to do that.
Well, we can move ahead with the vote, and if we need Supervisor Berkowitz's vote, then we'll go ahead and receive it how best we can, whether it's through carrier pigeon or tap to tap, tap, tap.
Supervisor Hemmingson,
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Supervisor Berkowitz, if you're able to. I'm not seeing anything, and Chair Howard.
Thanks for giving it your best shot there. Roseanne, if you could circle back around with us and let us know the outcome of this. When would you know at the soonest?
Last year, it took quite a while to get a response. Some of these applications are taking close to a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll let you know as soon as we know it. It really is challenging when we do apply because we have staffing at the time we apply and then potentially a change in staffing when we find out we have funding. So, but we'll let you know.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on with item number 15, which is approve and authorize the chair to sign the second amendment to the MOU with Partnership Health of California for the Local Innovation Grant on Housing, extending the agreement from June 30 to December 31st, 2022. And Kylie, do we have anybody here from DHSS with us today to discuss this?
I see that CTAO is still on. I'm not sure where she is.
Hi, board. I'm here.
Good morning. Thank
So
you.
this is reallocating of funds of the grant that was initially set aside for No Place Like Home. We are now reallocating that to the use of the legacy for permanent conversion.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure this was seen on the agenda. Oftentimes, many of us board members have been approached by folks in our community saying that we're really not doing much to seek permanent housing solutions for homeless. I know many of us on the board have been approached by True North in the last month or two, and wanted to make sure that this was highlighted as a way that we, Delaware County, are not only seeking funds, but allocating them to help solve those homeless issues. So I wanted to make sure that was loud and clear and put forward on our agenda so everybody could have some comment on it if they wish.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve and authorize the chair to sign the second amendment to the MOU with Partnership Health Plan of California for the Local Innovation Grant on Housing, extending the agreement from June 30th, 2021 to December 31st, 2022.
Thank
And
you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Darren. All right, Kylie, can you please open it up for public comment?
Chair, I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board. And please call the vote.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Supervisor Hemmingson.
Yes.
I see Bob is no longer online. Chair Howard.
Yes. Well, hopefully his IT problems will resolve themselves shortly. At this point, we'll go ahead and move on with item number 16. Approve and authorize the attached application with Shasta County Department of Housing and Community Action Programs to maintain use of 6 licenses to utilize homeless management information system from July 1st, 2021 through June 30, 2022 in the amount of $2,600 and $2,655 as directed by Health and Human Services.
Move to approve.
Thank
And
you.
second.
Thank you very much. Kylie, can you please open it up for public comment?
Yes. Chair, I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Okay, very good. We'll go ahead and bring it back for a poll vote.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Supervisor Hemmingson,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move forward with budget transfer items, which are items 17, 18, and 19 on our agenda. Budget transfer item 04-10 in the amount of $8,000 within the sheriff's budget unit to cover costs of additional psychiatric evaluations conducted in this fiscal year. Budget transfer item 05-01 in the amount of $21,000 within the juvenile hall budget unit to purchase new fingerprint machines. And budget transfer item 05-04 in the amount of $64,000, transferring $16,000 for the miscellaneous revenues and expenditures budget unit asset vehicle line item in the administrative budget unit vehicle expenditure line item, and the transfer of $16,000 from the miscellaneous revenues and expenditure units asset vehicle line item in the county council's budget unit vehicle expenditure line item to replace aging county vehicles. Let's go ahead and seek a motion if we may.
Chair, I move we approve budget transfer 04-10, 05-01, and 05-04.
Thank you. We have a motion and second. Kylie, can you please open it up for public comment?
Chair, I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you, Kylie. We'll go ahead and bring it back for a poll vote from the board.
Supervisor Hemmingson,
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. All right, we'll go ahead with legislative and budget issues. Item number 20 is approve and authorize the chair to sign a letter of support for the Tallawahdeene Nation's California Climate Investment Fire Protection Grant application and authorize the Community Development Department to partner in the grant application by sending a letter of participation as requested by the Director of Community Development.
Good morning, board members again.
Good.
The Tallawahdeene Nation, acting under the umbrella of the Smith River Collaborative, is applying for California Climate Initiative Fire and CAL FIRE Fire Prevention Grant. The grant would be for the Gaspee Community Protection Project, which includes the creation of fuel breaks, fuel break maintenance, prescribed burning, education and outreach, and noxious weed removal. The county was asked to participate in the grant application specifically to provide 5.5 miles of roadside mastication along Big Flat Road, which is a county maintained road. They have asked us to submit a letter agreeing to be a participant in the grant application, as well as requesting a letter of support from the Board of Supervisors for the application. And just as a little background, we have submitted similar letters of support and participation in the past for this grant, and the level of interest on the part of staff to participate in this grant is just the same as it was before. We're very interested in partnering with the Tallawahdeene Nation and the Forest Service and a lot of the members of the Smith River Collaborative on this great project. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure. please.
If I could, yeah, I would just like to piggyback on what Heidi said. You know, we've worked in partnership with them previously. They've worked in partnership with us. The collaborative is really happy to see these projects go forward. Tallawadini Nation has taken upon themselves to, you know, take on the lead of this, and I think we should be more than supportive. And with that, I would make the motion to approve and authorize the chair to sign the letter of support.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Heidi, what would it take for us to administer this in-house in the future instead of utilizing one of our partners in the collaborative?
What now? Can you repeat that, Supervisor Howard or Chair Howard?
It's great that the Tallawahidini Nation has stepped up to help administer this application, but what would it take for us in community development to do this application in the future? So it's ran through the county versus the Tallawahidini Nation.
If you want to know the truth, it would take a lot more staff within the community development department to be able to do it. Also, the Tallawahidini Nation is in a unique position because they want to actually create a workforce of people who do this type of work where they would train people. And that's not something we would necessarily have any intention of doing. We have done similar with our National Fish and Wildlife where we coordinated it. We only had a very small role though in the actual work that's being done because it's being done on Forest Service property. It's not being done within the county road right of ways and so on to a greater extent. I mean, where there's overlap, we are involved. I think that where we can participate, we would certainly like to continue to participate. And, you know, perhaps at some point there would be an opportunity for us to take the lead on another application like this. But I mean, when you're looking at the planning department, you're looking at it right here, and you're looking at community development director, you're looking at it. So it's just a hard time for us to be looking outward at these types of things, taking them on.
I appreciate that. And I know Jerry and I have advocated for many years for this type of capacity to be built in your department. We see our neighbors like with Humboldt County actively pursuing through NCRP these administrative roles that impact their overall budget and their ability to do a lot broader aspects of management on both private and public land. So in the future, this may be a way, and this is why I bring this comment up now, this may be a way to have that administrative overhead, which oftentimes comes with a successful grant application like this, to roll into your budget. So I think looking forward into the future, that's simply why I bring this up. And we all appreciate the constraints in your department now, and we'll look for those solutions in the future. Thank you for the motion from both members. We'll go ahead and open up the public comment at this time.
Chair, I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and bring it back to a poll vote then. Kylie, please.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Berkowitz, are you able to vote?
I am, yes.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Supervisor Short?
Get there. It's been a struggle just to get on.
Understood.
Supervisor Short?
Yes.
Supervisor Hemmingson?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. All right, we'll move forward with item number 21, review, discuss, and take possible action on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021-2022 for the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority as requested by Director of Solid Waste. I believe I saw Director Ward on earlier. Good of you to join us today, Director Ward.
Glad to be here. So the brief introduction is this is part of our annual process. As a joint powers authority of the city of Crescent City and the county of Del Norte to take care of all solid waste and recycling responsibilities, our budget is presented to you annually for review and comment. And if you care to make any comments, then those could be forwarded to the board prior to final adoption. Generally, our agency continues to meet our requirements, though we do have challenges ahead in terms of SB 1383, and we'll probably be discussing that in the meetings ahead. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. We do have two representatives on the solid waste, both Supervisor Starkey and Supervisor Short. I didn't know if you guys wanted to weigh in with that proposal.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, very good. Okay, Kylie, let's go ahead and open it up to public comment then.
Chair, I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Okay, very good. Then we'll go ahead and pull it back to the board and I'll entertain a motion.
I think that the proposal says that we can absolutely do nothing and then it just proceeds forward. But I could be reading that wrong.
That is correct.
That's correct.
If no action is taken, then we'll take that as well.
So you guys we're not even giving consensus at this time, it sounds like, Director.
That's okay.
But if you wanted to harass him, that would be perfectly okay with that.
I'm not hearing any objections, sir.
You gotta take it and run. I got you. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, then I believe we have item number 22 on the agenda, which is an update from Greg Burns, Thornton and Partners, on the Great American Rescue Plan and community funded projects.
Chair, I'm not seeing Greg on at this moment.
Okay, is this something, I know Neil's been in contact with Mr. Burns. Is this something you want to cover, Neil, or do you want to move on with possibly other legislative and budget matters?
I don't have any other legislative or budget matters to discuss today. I'm not sure exactly what Greg planned on reporting out to the board today. What I can tell the board and the public is that we don't know a lot yet on the American Rescue Plan. The guidance just came out yesterday. There's a final interim rule in place, which is 150 pages long. So we're in the process of going through that and analyzing that. It also sent out a guidance from the Treasury Department on allowable uses. So we'll be reviewing that as well. As far as the community funded projects are concerned, I think he wanted to report out that Congressman Huffman did not take our requested project forward, but he is trying a different avenue through the senators Feinstein and Padilla, and hopefully our project will gain some traction there.
It certainly would be nice. Neil, can you highlight again for our audience what that project was that we did submit to Congressman Huffman?
It's the jail renovation project. The amount requested was $3 million. And Congressman Huffman actually was only able to submit 10 projects. Each congressman was allowed to do that. The senators don't have those restrictions. So we're hoping that we can make some headway on that side of things.
Chair, I want to make note that Greg just joined us.
Yeah, I saw a cat jump in, but it jumped out of the view really quickly. Oh, there he is. There's Mr. Burns. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Apologies for being delayed. So I'm not sure what Neil may have just shared with you.
You can start from scratch if you'd like also.
So let me start with community funded projects, just to talk briefly about those, if I may. So as you know, earmarks are returning to Congress this year for the first time in more than a decade. We came up with one project working with your administration and other staff for the county to submit to Mr. Huffman. It was related to the jail renovation. So we went ahead and put that in. I actually thought it was a good request. Unfortunately, Mr. Huffman, the number of requests that he could make on behalf of his congressional districts were limited to 10. And unfortunately, he chose not to include our request as one of his 10 to the Appropriations Committee. I could hazard a number of guesses as to why that is or might be the case, why he chose not to select our project. But rather than do that and speculate, I think it's more important to talk with him and hopefully get him and his team up to the county to see the jail firsthand. That's something that I've spoken about with your county administrator. I believe some of you are touring the jail in the next couple of days. So I think, that'll also be good for you to have seen it firsthand, and then we can meet with him. That's been the plan, and his staff, and talk about the need and talk about, to a little bit of an extent, why they may have chosen that this was, or why they may have thought that this was not the best time to request funding for the project. So we're going to continue to work on that. In the meantime, we did submit the request to Senator Feinstein's office. They've more recently opened up the request process in the Senate. Senator Padilla has not yet opened up an opportunity to request projects, but we anticipate that he will, and we will go ahead and make the same request of his office as well. So we continue to work on it. You know, I can't speak to the level of likelihood that either senator will decide that it's worth supporting or not. You know, I think it's a valuable project. We did try to, I tweaked it a little bit in terms of how I described it. When I submitted it to Senator Feinstein's office and tried to focus on some of the, you know, really positive aspects of the renovation because of the opportunities that it would create for, you know, those that are there. So I really tried to highlight those a little bit more. Happy to take any questions on that or chat further on that. And then I have another update on another subject.
Certainly. Yeah, we don't necessarily want to push you into the position to opine on that decision. I think the suggestion is good to get Congressman Huffman's representative, maybe John Driscoll up here, and maybe one of the board members. I know we've got 2 tours coming up. Could reach out to John and bring them along. It's a long overdue process. We've submitted previous grant applications to the state and been turned down 3 times now. It needs to happen. So certainly won't give up, and we appreciate you doing the same to keep that door open as much as possible. So please update us on the second piece thing.
Okay. So for the second piece, that's the American Rescue Plan. So just yesterday, the Department of Treasury released their anticipated guidance on how locals can spend the money that you all will receive through the American Rescue Plan, which was passed, 2 months ago or so, roughly. I believe that the allocation for Del Norte County is still about the $5.4 million range. So that didn't change. It just as a side note, it did change for some communities, not so much on the county side, but on particularly the larger municipality side. So I was pleased to see that the county allocations didn't change in any significant way. So we didn't have to have a surprise as to why your number might be different. But you will receive about $5.4 million, remember, over 2 years. The money should be available fairly soon to you all, the first half of that. And then they did release information about how you can spend it. And, my initial read of it is that they are trying to be flexible and really open up the opportunity for you all to do probably most of what you would want to do. The county administrator has sent me some questions that I'm still looking into about how we justify certain costs that have been incurred, particularly related to, I believe, staff time. So I still need to get back to him on that and provide you all with some more clarity and guidance. They also released, along with sort of a, 6 or 7 page frequently asked questions and summary document, they did release what's known as an interim final rule. And this rule, to be honest, primarily poses questions that they're hoping for feedback on. So what I need to do is take a closer look and see if this would be an opportune time for us to ask questions of the Department of Treasury to hopefully get additional clarification if we need it on the kinds of questions related to staffing time that the county administrator has asked. So I'm sort of sorting through that. I don't have a lot more at the moment. Again, this just came out yesterday, I think at about 5 o'clock Eastern or somewhere around then, 4 o'clock Eastern. I have taken a skim through everything. Again, my general sense is that they are trying to be as flexible as possible in allowing you to spend the money in ways that you deem most appropriate. There will be some reporting requirements, which to me don't seem too onerous, but I'm also not the ones filling out the forms. So maybe that's unfair for me to say. But I think that's kind of where we're at. Again, I'd love to take any questions if you all had any.
Sure. I could go ahead and kick that off, Greg. I know the board's been discussing a lot of possibilities, and I'm glad you're kind of picking through the guidance document to really set the parameters around what that might look like. I know we, with COVID, we saw potentially some capacity issues in many of our departments, but in particular with OES. And as it relates to COVID and dealing with other things like forest fire at the same time. If you could look into how these funds potentially could address capacity issues, I think it would be helpful as it relates to our emergency services.
Sure thing.
Any other questions from the board before I open it up for public comment? Okay, let's go ahead and hear public comment then.
Yes, give me one moment. Linda, you are on.
I'm not surprised. We didn't get picked for the law enforcement issue with Mr. Huffman. Maybe we should vote for somebody else. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment, Kylie?
Chair, I'm not seeing any at this time.
Okay, unless there's any further questions for Greg while he's with us, we'll go ahead and thank him for his time today. Appreciate you joining us. And we look forward to potentially a report sooner than later back to the board with some further guidance on the policies that are coming on.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I may, just 1 second.
Oh, absolutely, Greg.
Supervisor, I'm just, I'd love to understand how you all are thinking about coming up with ideas and possibilities. Do you all have any discussion planned in terms of trying to figure out how you might utilize those funds?
Supervisor Hemmingson?
Yeah, we haven't had any firm discussions yet in a direction to go. We're just hoping that we can land on our feet.
The only reason I ask is because I think that there's going to be some usefulness in asking for specific clarification on things if you start to have ideas. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, that's good. We appreciate that, and that's a good point too. On the other hand, it would be nice to have some ideas on where we could spend it, that may work also. I mean, if there's people out there that have asked the questions that would be helpful to know that we can spend it in this direction or that direction. And until we get all the information, I personally don't know where to start looking to spend it. We've got a lot of areas. I mean, there's not any areas that we couldn't spend it in. So, I mean, we're kind of an open book.
Got it. That's totally understandable. I'll continue to work with your administrator and make sure that we stay on top of it, and then I can follow the discussion through him.
Yeah, and if they're not so restricted to where we can circle back, whether it's leveraging dollars or whether it's identified in specific for an ask for you to take somewhere. But obviously being disappointed in Congressman Huffman's turn down for the jail, but at the same time, is there enough guidance to ask that question? Could we circle back on the jail for this type of funding?
I will make sure that working through the county administrator, you have all that kind of information so you can have an informed discussion.
No, most appreciated. Did you have anything else, Supervisor Starkey?
No, I just want to tell him thank you. And I just echo what Supervisor Hemmingson said, is that once we have some direction, I know that we can come up with lots of ways and lots of ideas, but we just got the information like you yesterday, and I skimmed through it, but I don't know enough to know exactly how to allocate that. So thank you.
Great. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. All right, then we'll go ahead and return to our agenda, and it appears that we've wrapped everything up. I'll just confirm that with Kylie real quick. Is that correct, Kylie?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, then at this time, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn, and our next meeting will be scheduled for May 25th, 2021. Thank you, everybody, today, and we'll see you all soon.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Have a great day, everyone.